What's going on, people? It's Danny Somerville, the mortgage broker, and I wanted to highlight a story. I have a client that talked about a week ago now, and their family is growing, so they wanted to buy a home, or they're looking, to move out of where they currently are, and they were thinking about buying a home. And long story short, we talked, and they were like, the numbers are really just too high for us. We can't afford, what we ideally want in the area that we ideally want. And I said, okay, well, let's look at rents, right? Real time, we looked on Zillow, and we saw like a range of like $3,500 to $4,000 a month for like the bedroom and bath size that they want. And not even really in an ideal neighborhood for them or for their family, but it kind of is what is within their budget. And I said, hey, have you thought about doing a multi-unit? And they're like, yeah. And I said, okay, have you, possibly considered maybe living with someone? Maybe buying a home with a family member or a friend. They're like, we don't trust nobody. I'm like, I get that, right? Because ideally we don't look to buy a home and include someone else in it that's not, the people that we're creating life with. And so with that said, I said, let's just still look at it and see what it could look like. Maybe even if you could possibly find a property that has renters that'll supplement that income. And so we looked at, a few options, and they actually made sense, right? They made sense for them, and they discussed it, and they actually found a relative that they would buy with, right? So we actually had that full group conversation, and it went really well. So my expectation now is obviously, to put them all on one application and get them going. But I'm saying this to share with you, right? In the African American community especially, we are prideful. We have a lot of ego in our decisions, especially when it comes to buying property. And I'm telling you, in Los Angeles County, right, it's high. Ain't no way around it. And if you want to have a piece of that pie and not get pushed out to Apple Valley and, I don't know, Hemet, wherever, not saying nothing wrong with those places, but, we don't want to be those places, especially if our jobs, our lives are in LA, especially LA County. You have to look at different opportunities, different ways of purchasing homes. Group economics is the perfect way to do that. So if you're interested in buying a home and maybe this is something that could be for you, let's have a conversation. Let's find someone that we like, trust, and respect. Let's go get that home. Let's go.